Story 1. It all began one foggy morning as I ventured into the remote, mist-shrouded hills of northern Wales. The air was thick with moisture and the world felt strangely isolated. I had always been drawn to the untamed beauty of the Welsh countryside, but little did I know that these hills held secrets beyond imagination. I had recently taken up a job as a shepherd, and this desolate terrain was my new workplace. My duties were simple: tend to the flock, maintain the fences, and ensure the sheep grazed safely. The days were long and lonely, but I welcomed the solitude. It was this very solitude that would eventually lead me into a world of inexplicable fear and wonder. My first unsettling experience occurred a few weeks into my new job. As I made my rounds through the hills, I noticed peculiar markings on the ground, circular patterns, meticulously etched into the earth, like some form of arcane runes. The sheep seemed restless, avoiding these markings as if they sensed something amiss. Curiosity got the better of me, and I decided to investigate. With a stick in hand, I approached one of the mysterious circles, kneeling down to get a closer look. That's when I heard it, a faint, ghostly whisper in the wind, like the murmurs of lost souls. My heart raced as I scanned the misty horizon, but there was no one in sight. In the days that followed, I encountered the whispers more frequently. They seemed to come from all directions, always just out of reach. The sheep grew increasingly agitated, their bleats taking on an eerie, mournful tone. It was as if they, too, sensed the unseen presence that lingered in the mist. One evening, as I tended to the flock near a stand of ancient, gnarled trees, the whispers coalesced into words. "Leave this place," they hissed, sending shivers down my spine. I turned in every direction, trying to locate the source, but the mist was impenetrable, and the voice seemed to emanate from the very air itself. Fear gnawed at my resolve, but I couldn't abandon my duties. I needed this job, and there was a certain stubbornness that kept me tethered to the hills. I couldn't explain it, but I felt drawn to uncover the truth behind these eerie occurrences. As the weeks turned into months, I began to notice other strange phenomena. The sheep's behavior grew increasingly erratic, and they started to avoid certain areas altogether. At night, I heard the sound of footsteps approaching my lonely shepherd's hut, yet when I peered outside, no one was there. One moonless night, as I patrolled the hills, I stumbled upon a chilling sight. A group of shadowy figures cloaked in tattered robes stood in a circle around a glowing ethereal stone. Their faces were obscured and their movements were slow and deliberate. As I watched in silent horror, I realized that these were the same circular markings I had found etched into the earth. I dared not approach, for I knew not what dark forces were at play. Instead, I hid behind a large boulder, my heart pounding as I observed the eerie ritual unfold. The figures chanted in a language I could not comprehend, and the stone pulsed with an otherworldly light. It was a sight that defied rational explanation. Over time, I pieced together the fragmented history of this place. The locals spoke in hushed tones of ancient druidic rituals and pagan ceremonies that had taken place here centuries ago. The whispers, it seemed, were the echoes of those long-dead practitioners trapped in a spectral limbo. I delved deeper into my research, scouring old books and speaking with the few villagers willing to share their knowledge. They warned me of the dangers that lurked in the mist, urging me to leave before it was too late. But I was determined to confront the enigma that had ensnared me. Armed with newfound knowledge, I returned to the site of the ritual. The whispers grew more desperate, more insistent. "You do not belong here," they wailed, but I pressed on. I carried with me a talisman, a relic of the druidic past that I believed might hold the key to banishing the restless spirits. As I reached the glowing stone, the figures turned their hollow eyes toward me. Their voices rose to a crescendo, a cacophony of anguish and rage. With trembling hands, I held forth the talisman and uttered incantations I had gleaned from my research. The stone shattered, and the figures dissipated like mist, their anguished cries fading into the light. In the aftermath of that fateful night, the whispers ceased, and the mist that had shrouded the hills began to dissipate. The sheep, once skittish and fearful, grazed peacefully once more. The villagers, though initially wary of me, came to regard me with a newfound respect, as the one who had freed their land from the grip of ancient malevolence. As I reflect on those terrifying shepherd horror stories, I realize that I had ventured into a world where the boundaries between reality and the supernatural were blurred. I had witnessed things that defied explanation and had confronted forces beyond human comprehension. And though I emerged from that ordeal scarred and forever changed, I had also discovered a courage within myself that I never knew existed. Years have passed since that haunting chapter of my life, and I now live a quiet existence far from those misty hills. The memories of my time as a shepherd still haunt my dreams, and I am left with a profound sense of awe and wonder at the mysteries of the world. I have come to accept that some questions may never have answers, and some stories may never be fully understood. But I will forever carry with me the knowledge that the veil between our world and the unknown is thin, and that there are places where the past and present intertwine in ways that both terrify and enchant. And so I offer this account of my experiences as a shepherd, not as a warning or a lesson, but as a testament to the enduring power of the unexplained. In the end, we are all wanderers in the mist, searching for meaning in the shadows of the unknown. Story 2. In the heart of the Scottish Highlands, nestled amidst rugged peaks and endless moors, there stood a solitary cottage. It was the dwelling of an aging shepherd named Ewan MacLeod. Ewan had spent his entire life in these desolate lands, tending to his flock of sheep and finding solace in the rugged beauty that surrounded him. For as long as Ewan could remember, he had been alone. His family had perished in a tragic accident when he was a child, leaving him the sole inhabitant of the cottage. As he grew older, he embraced the solitude, finding comfort in the simple routine of herding and caring for his sheep. It was on a crisp autumn evening that Ewan first heard the whispers. They began as soft, indistinct murmurs that seemed to drift on the wind. At first he dismissed them as tricks of his tired mind, the product of years spent alone in the wilderness. But as the days passed, the whispers grew louder, more insistent. They seemed to come from the very walls of his cottage, echoing through the barren rooms. Ewan tried to ignore them, but their ceaseless presence wore on his nerves, gnawing at his sanity. Night after night, Ewan was plagued by haunting dreams. In his sleep, he wandered through a shadowy forest, guided by a spectral figure cloaked in mist. The figure whispered cryptic words, promising secrets hidden in the heart of the wilderness. Ewan's dreams grew increasingly vivid, and he found himself compelled to follow the figure's guidance. Armed with a lantern and an old shepherd's staff, he ventured into the inky darkness of the surrounding woods, driven by an inexplicable urge. Ewan's nocturnal journeys led him deeper into the heart of the wilderness, to a place he had never seen before, a hidden grove, bathed in an eerie, otherworldly light. The trees here were ancient, their gnarled branches twisting skyward like the skeletal fingers of long-forgotten gods. In the center of the grove, a gnarled oak tree stood, its roots burrowing deep into the earth. It was to this tree that the spectral figure had led Ewan, and there amidst the gnarled roots lay a curious weathered book, bound in leather and etched with strange symbols. Ewan, driven by an insatiable curiosity, took the book back to his cottage and began to decipher its contents. It was a tome of ancient spells and incantations, passed down through generations of shepherds who had lived in these desolate lands. As he pored over the pages, Ewan's understanding of the natural world deepened. He learned to communicate with the animals, to control the weather, and to harness the power of the earth itself. But with each newfound ability, the whispers that plagued him grew louder, more demanding. As Ewan delved deeper into the dark arts contained within the book, he became increasingly isolated from the outside world. His once thriving flock of sheep dwindled in number as he neglected his duties to pursue his newfound obsessions. The whispers, once a source of annoyance, now seemed to command him, driving him to perform unspeakable rituals in the dead of night. He would stand beneath the gnarled oak tree, chanting incantations that sent shivers down his spine, and his once piercing blue eyes began to glow with an unnatural, malevolent light. One stormy night, as Ewan stood in the grove, calling upon the powers he had harnessed, a bolt of lightning struck the ancient oak tree. The tree burst into flames, and Ewan was consumed by a blinding, white-hot fire. When the villagers finally ventured into the wilderness, they found nothing but ashes and scorched earth where Ewan's cottage had once stood. The whispers had fallen silent, and the grove was no more. The legend of Ewan MacLeod, the mad shepherd of the Highlands, persists to this day. Some say his soul still haunts the wilderness, a tormented spirit condemned to wander the moors for all eternity. Others claim that the ancient book of spells still exists, hidden away in the heart of the wilderness, waiting for another unsuspecting soul to stumble upon its secrets. As for the whispers that plagued Ewan, they are said to have faded into the wind, carried away on the same gusts that once carried his lonely cries. The shepherds who tend to their flocks in these desolate lands still speak of Ewan's folly, a cautionary tale of the dangers of isolation and the seductive allure of forbidden knowledge. And so the story of the shepherd and the whispers in the wilderness lives on, a haunting reminder of the thin line between solitude and madness, and the secrets that lie hidden in the most remote corners of the world. Story 3. In the quaint village of Glen, nestled deep within the heart of the Irish countryside, there lived a shepherd named Alistair. He was known throughout the village for his remarkable skill with the flute, a talent that had been passed down through generations of his family. Alistair found solace in the melodies he created, and his music had the power to calm even the wildest of sheep. One fateful evening, as he played his flute on a grassy knoll overlooking the village, a mysterious stranger approached. The stranger's cloak was as dark as the night itself, and his eyes shone with an otherworldly light. The stranger, who introduced himself as Eamon, spoke in a voice like a gentle breeze. He marveled at Alistair's skill with the flute and asked if he would be willing to share his gift with the world beyond Glen Haven. Eamon claimed to be a wanderer who had traveled the world, seeking out rare talents and sharing them with those who could appreciate their beauty. Intrigued by Eamon's offer, Alistair agreed to accompany him on a journey that would take them far from the comfort of Glen Haven. They set off together, venturing into the uncharted wilderness, where the air was thick with enchantment and the trees whispered secrets. As they traveled deeper into the forest, Alistair noticed a subtle change in Eamon. His eyes grew brighter and his movements became more fluid, almost as if he were one with the natural world around them. Alistair began to suspect that Eamon was not what he seemed. One evening, as they rested by a shimmering stream, Eamon's true nature was revealed. He was not a man but a forest spirit, a guardian of the ancient woods. He had lured Alistair into his domain to harness the shepherd's musical talents for his own mysterious purposes. Alistair was torn. On one hand, he felt betrayed by Eamon's deception. On the other, he was captivated by the magic of the forest and the prospect of creating music that could move mountains and rivers. Eamon promised him power beyond imagination if he would willingly become a part of the enchanted woods. Alistair's decision was not made lightly. He knew that if he stayed, he would be forever bound to the forest, cut off from his home and the people he loved. But the allure of the forest's magic was too strong to resist, and he chose to remain. As the years passed, Alistair's music became more enchanting and otherworldly. The melodies he played on his flute had the power to heal, to bring joy, and to instill fear. He became a legend among the forest spirits, and his name was whispered in hushed reverence throughout the enchanted woods. But the price of his power was steep. Alistair aged at an unnatural pace, his once youthful features withering away like leaves in autumn. He was bound to the forest, unable to leave its boundaries without suffering excruciating pain. He longed for the simple joys of his old life in Glen Haven, but they were forever out of reach. One day, as Alistair sat by the same shimmering stream where his fate had been sealed, he heard the distant sound of a flute playing a hauntingly beautiful melody. It was a tune he had not heard in many years, a tune that reminded him of his home and the people he had left behind. Tears filled Alistair's eyes as he realized what he had lost in his quest for power. He longed to return to Glen Haven, to share his music with the villagers and to feel the warmth of human companionship once more. Summoning all the strength he had left, Alistair played a mournful melody on his flute, a melody that echoed through the enchanted woods. It was a plea for release, a plea to be free of the forest's grip. The forest itself seemed to respond to Alistair's music. The trees swayed and the stream danced to the rhythm of his song, and then, as if by some ancient magic, the boundaries of the enchanted woods dissolved, allowing Alistair to step beyond its confines. With each step he took away from the forest, his youth and vitality returned. Alistair emerged from the woods, his flute in hand, and made his way back to Glen Haven, where the villagers welcomed him with open arms. Alistair spent the rest of his days in Glen Haven, sharing his music with the villagers and teaching the art of the flute to the children of the village. He had learned a valuable lesson about the true power of music. It was not in the enchantment of the notes themselves, but in the emotions they stirred and the connections they forged. And as for the enchanted forest, it remained a place of mystery and wonder, where the spirits danced to the haunting melodies of the shepherd's flute, a testament to the enduring magic of the natural world. The story of Alistair, the shepherd who ventured into the enchanted woods, serves as a reminder that true beauty and power lie not in the pursuit of the extraordinary, but in the appreciation of the ordinary and the love of those who surround us.